Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100x. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in just one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Plus, the NBA is back, and so is the NBA Gambling Podcast. And to celebrate, we're giving away a NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog for all the details.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old Fashioned Football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you're listening to, this is J-Mark. You can find me on the X at JMarkFootball. You can find us on the X at Old Fashioned FB. And by us, you're probably wondering, so before we get to these Week 8 waiver wires and everything else we got in store, I got to bring in my co-host on the pod and in life. That's right, she's back from the sickness. Get down with the sickness. You can find her on X at the Mark. Mur, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Doing great. Feeling better?
Oh, I feel so much better.
I know. I knew that, but they didn't know that maybe.
I do. No, today definitely feel a lot better. I slept so much when I was sick. It was crazy. And definitely started getting back to things on Saturday and was feeling so exhausted from being sick. And today I just feel 100% again.
Awesome. Sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, shout out to the chat. If you're listening to us, try to get on over to youtube.com/old-fashioned football, or just look for Old Fashioned Football Podcast. Josiah says, woo! Soccer is over for Josiah, apparently, because he is back in the chat. Welcome back, Josiah. And Kathy says this never comes across the right way. Hand pink waving. I'm just a wave, I'm sure. She's glad you're feeling better. And Jamie says, woot woot.
Yes.
Go ahead.
How many times are you gonna?
You're talking to America here. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was distracted when we started. I just got done texting she's gonna be 10 tomorrow.
I know.
Niece Maddie. Oh.
Yes. Happy
she has
early.
A phone.
I know. She's got a phone. I got a text. I was like, what is this? But she goes, in case you don't, well, it said something like, hi, Uncle Justin. I love you. Can't wait to see you. Miss you, blah, blah, blah. And then it said,
blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'm paraphrasing here. And then she said, by the way, if you don't know who this is Maddie, which I assume so, because I didn't think it was Aiden or Toby texting. They're still a little young for that. But happy early birthday to Maddie.
Tomorrow. I can't believe they grow so fast.
She informed us that she will be in the double digits.
Double digits.
Yes, absolutely.
Milestone.
That's right. You were talking about how you were starting to feel a little bit better this weekend, but you feel a lot better now. Just to give you guys a little bit of behind baseball and insight on Miranda's weekend. Now, I was not
behind. Okay, I was like, I thought you were going to break down my fantasy teams and how I did, and I was like, I did pretty good, and you don't need to.
No, okay. And before I read this, I was not just sitting around watching football. I was outside most of the weekend working. However, Mur staying inside because she was getting better, made 21 servings of roasted butternut squash soup, 16 servings of roasted acorn squash soup, 10 servings of, it just says mom soup. I'm assuming that's not the official name.
No, that is the name on what I wrote down for the recipe. Mom soup.
Mom soup, 12 servings of roasted acorn squash, and 18 jars of salsa this weekend.
I was a real homemaker this
Homesteader.
weekend. Homesteader. There you go. Hey,
Hey.
homemaker. I decorate the house pretty well too, Justin.
Well, this is true. But yeah. No, that was really
No, it was a lot. I felt very accomplished last night at 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was a lot to do. Real quick, I had to play this because I didn't get to play it while you were here. And it makes me laugh so much. And now I want people to know before I play this, and you're gonna have to go on YouTube because I'm gonna take this out of the podcast because you're just gonna hear it and not know what's going on. But Miranda said after I put this video together, she had no idea I made all these faces at her.
No.
Back to our Costco.
This was
we
a
haven't
Costco
mentioned
find.
Costco for a while.
Because I like, maybe it's because I did I peeled the
old-fashioned.
orange peel.
You're right. That's all that made it good.
And by the time he was 26, which we said he had to mature quickly, I think for a man, that's pretty quickly. I know I didn't feel like a full adult till I was 27. And at the time you would have been
Shots
30.
fired.
But on his business methods, he thought excellent whiskey was more than just a pleasant experience for the drinker. It was a way to promote good conversation, close fellowship, and the interchange of good thoughts.
There's some sort of dried fruit in the taste, but I can't.
Wine?
No, well, wine. I can't tell if I'm getting like a dried apricot flavor or what exactly, but I definitely get a dried fruit flavor. And then I do taste a little bit of the vanilla. This is what you're missing. If you're not tuning in to listen to the whiskey reviews, all of that happened in just one short episode. What do you have to say?
I just, the disrespect in your facial expressions, the eye rolls. Do you eye roll this much when I'm talking normally to you?
No, not at all. Just kidding.
I guess I don't pay attention to your face enough to catch all that.
Probably for good reason. Just a preview. We're going to go over injuries, studs and duds, and talk some whiskey. Of course, it's waivers and whiskey weekend, but how'd your fantasy football teams do this weekend?
I am well.
You am well.
I think I'm going to be 6-2.
That's respectable.
There are two games are dependent on tonight's game. One's very close. One, I don't know if I have a chance.
Is it this close? Is it very close like this?
Steelers' hands. It's a walk-in. 4th down and goal.
If you couldn't read that from there, it said when you're 1.3 fantasy points behind going into Monday or something like that. Is it that close? Or I think you showed me that before. You're winning, right?
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm projected to win.
Nice.
We'll see.
I had a couple good things, couple bad things in fantasy football weekend. We'll start with the bad thing, but we'll call it a good thing, sort of. In the family league, I had won 4 games in a row. Well, wait, 4? 4 games in a row. I was 4-2. After losing the first 2, won 4 in a row, coming back with a vengeance to take this league. And your dad, who had not won a game, beat me by 3 points. It's over. He gets his first fantasy football win. No longer has his perfect record. Reverse. So good win by him. Also, do you remember when Aiden used to go, also?
Yes.
It's so cute. Every time I say also, that pops in my head. Also, our listener league. We lost 4 straight to start the year, and now we have won 3 straight.
Coming back. We were just teasing everybody.
That's right. We were making it difficult on ourselves by being like, oh, let's get way behind here. So yeah, Mr. Zach Vello, longtime listener, one of the first, I believe.
You got the beat down this week.
Got the beat down. And I have a lot of matchups that come down to tonight. I know you have Christian McCaffrey in one league. However, I need him to do poorly.
No.
Yeah, I need him to do poorly to get some victories.
I'm not wishing that on him and his performance.
Well, I am. He's got that slight tear in his oblique. They will talk about load management. Why don't they just rest him? That's what I want him to get like 3. Do a Bijan Robinson where he got 1 carry for 3 yards this weekend. And the excuse was that he just wasn't feeling well or feeling like himself. Post game, he said that his head was just, he woke up and he just fell out of it. His head was bothering him. Does this not sound like a hangover? He fell out of it. His head was bothering him. He didn't feel like himself. He just got shit-faced the night before.
Party a little too hard there.
I think so. That's what I'm taking from it anyways. Before we keep going, I see a question. We'll answer that in a second, Bryce. But before we keep going, sorry, shout out to the chat. Josiah says, I roll more than his teenage sister. What are we drinking today?
We are drinking in our lovely old fashions that we co-made. We're in a hurry. I'm
went right from birthday video call
Mhm.
with the niece to
To-
making old fashions.
a rush old fashioned. Put a dried orange in there. You're muddling while I'm throwing bitters in while I'm throwing the whiskey and yeah. Anyway,
You know what? Teamwork makes the dream work.
yeah. So if this sucks, I can't blame you today. You can't blame me. It was anyway. Okay, what we're
What
drinking?
are we drinking?
I
Yeah,
know.
we
I'm
didn't
just-
get there yet.
Yes, we are drinking Grace O'Malley's blended Irish whiskey. There's also a reason Justin picked this
Yes, I did.
because it's an 80 proof whiskey. It's the first 80 proof whiskey you laid your eyes on when you're
Yes,
picking from.
I was in a scramble to pick an 80 proof for a reason.
It's our 80th episode.
Cheers to us. That feels like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
80th episode. That's we say it many times. If you haven't heard it though, thank you so much for tuning in. Every time that you tune in, it means a lot to us. We do this. It's fun, but we do it for the listeners. We hope you at least get something out of it, whether it's fantasy football whiskey or just entertainment from me rolling my eyes. But we appreciate you all. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. Download, leave reviews. Go buy some merch like this hat I got on. We got shirts, all that kind of stuff. But thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
We really
thank you.
appreciate that. Now, before we keep going, we got to talk a little pick'em, right? Because there's this thing called pick'em, and it's getting spicy. Why don't you tell people where they can get spicy?
You can get spicy over on Underdog Fantasy. They have a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 in Pick'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus of up to $500. Normally it's $100, people. They are extending it to they are making it wow. Words are hard. They are extending it a deposit bonus of up to $500. $100,000 Sundays also continues over on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky winners will win $10,000 each this Sunday.
Yeah, it's your first day back, so you're excused. And
It's been a long Monday.
This is normally where I give you a play, but why give it to you when I can? Whoa, scorching. Hopefully you saw the picks. If you didn't, reach out to us, and I posted them already anyways. Watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. And if you haven't got it yet, you can win some swag. That's right. The NBA is back. And to celebrate, we're giving away an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog to submit a screenshot of you playing NBA Underdog using our promo code SGPN. And one random winner will get an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA dog. All right, we're back.
We are back, Justin. And You reminded me
Yes.
that you scorched our yard somewhere. Where were you burning that grass at?
It was right next to our drive where it needed burned anyways. You could see some gravel in the photo there.
Where?
Right out that way. If you didn't see it, it doesn't matter. Ha.
That was a large area of grass that you just burned.
It looked bigger in photos, as things often do.
Oh my God.
Josiah says he's wearing a shirt right now. Thank you,
Woo,
Josiah. We
Jojo.
appreciate
We're
that.
twinning. I'm wearing it.
Twinning. Let's answer this question real quick. Bryce
Mhm.
Ridley says, would you trade Deontay Johnson and Amari Cooper for CD Lamb? I still have Ayuk, Adams, Thielen, and Kirk. I don't hate that trade because the Browns are kind of a shit show on offense. Deshaun Watson sucks. They'd be better going with PJ Walker, in my opinion. And Deontay Johnson, again, the Steelers offense, even though, Johnson and Pickens get involved, that offense still sucks. I mean, it's not good. They win games somehow, basically the defense. And CeeDee Lamb is the number one target for the Cowboys, so I don't mind that at all. You're doing something to me.
You're gonna need to slide the screen over because I cannot.
Well, that was the question.
I know that. No, but for future questions,
Got it.
Because you
Very
say it
confused
and
here.
yes, you know how my mind works. I need to read it too.
Should we read the injury report while we're reading things? Insert eye roll.
Yeah, there was we just got a notification
We did.
a little bit ago. And that's
Yes.
what I'm going to start with.
All right, you
Please
start with
hold.
that. I'm gonna throw some people's comments up on here. Happy birthday. I have it if you're ready. Happy birthday, Maddie. Jamie says that Josiah was beat by his mom.
We all were beat by our parents this weekend in the family league.
Josiah says only got me by 0.3 points. That hurts. Ouch. And Nick was just listening to words of wisdom from her, such as Cooper Cup is Cooper Cup or Kittle is Kittle. Anyways.
Jerome Ford.
Yes.
Update. He is going to be out 1 to 2 weeks.
Yes.
And
bonus, these guys are not in our waivers, but Pierre Strong and Kareem Hunt, take a good look at those guys. Kareem Hunt is rostered in more leagues than Pierre Strong. But I think, excuse me there, I was trying not to cough, hiccup, and burp it like all the same time, I feel like. And Pierre Strong's the guy that I think is going to get like the bulk of the carries. Kareem Hunt's still going to be like that passing down and third down back.
Yes. And so kicking off with Jerome Ford, but going back to quarterbacks who are injured, Fields is still out with a dislocated thumb for at least another week. This is going to impact me heavily again.
He's quote unquote doubtful for the Chargers. He's not playing. So it's another.
I started
Special Agent Bajent.
Which didn't do too bad for me.
No, not at all. He looked really good. Go to the Sports Gambling Podcast store and get yourself a Agent Bajent t-shirt. I really want to get one. That's I think I'll do that.
You
tonight.
mentioned that. I haven't had a chance to go look at it.
Yeah, that's why I wait. That's why I have not ordered
it was
yet.
007.
It looks 007-ish. Yeah, you should pull it up.
You know,
right
I
now.
need that. That's my game.
Yeah.
You can't beat me in N64 007.
That's
GoldenEye.
not true.
No, you can't.
I can't beat you when you play proximity mines on that one level.
Or lasers.
I can beat you in lasers.
You can't beat me.
All right,
in
we're
lasers.
settling this later tonight.
How do you not have my childhood is 007 N64 with my dad, and I have every multiplayer level just memorized. Still, it's ingrained in my mind. How do you don't know how to navigate? It bothers me. And I schooled you and Nick. You both were fed up with the game.
Think about whose memory you're talking about. Of course, I can't navigate those still.
Whatever.
Why don't you pull that up? I'm going to talk about the rest of the quarterbacks. Watson,
what am I pulling up?
The link I sent you of Special Agent Bajent shirt. Come on, get with the program.
It's been a long day. My mind is a little like.
Deshaun Watson left the game after a big hit. He was 1 for 5 for 5 yards and an interception. He's questionable. Just turned the team over to PJ Walker. He's looked better. Jimmy G is questionable with his back injury. As we know, Jimmy G's injuries seem to come in too. And you're distracting me over here. Jalen Hurts was seen wearing a knee brace at the end of the game, but he's expected to be fine. Monitor that. CMC is in today. Like I said, small tear in the oblique. I think they should just sit him. Maybe pull a Bijan Robinson where you don't tell people that there's an issue and you just sit him. Josiah said Bijan only got him 0.3, but he did win this week. I misquoted. And you talked about Jerome Ford, Debo Samuel out tonight. That's big for the Niners, I feel like. And then tight end Dawson Knox. This was announced a couple hours ago. He's going to have surgery on his wrist. It will keep him out for an unexpected amount. Like, they don't know how much time. It's kind of an indefinite until he's better. So to me, I think the rest of fantasy football, he's out. And we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But you pulled it up. What do you think of the shirt? You like it?
Yeah, I do.
There's a blue and orange option too. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
I was going to say I'm really bad at moving the clicker. It's not on injury report, but guess what? It was. Why don't we talk a little bit about Sir Throws a Lot?
Yes.
Which you know what that means. Got to get an intro from our good buddy.
This is Jim Miller, former Chicago Bears quarterback, and now it's time for Sir Throws a Lot.
Say good buddy. It cost me $15 to get him to say that, but that's okay. Still a good buddy of ours.
Sir Throws a Lot this week, so far anyways, is Derek Carr. He threw for 55 times. I feel like I need to go back and check, but I feel like our Sir Throws a Lot, it's 55.
That's a lot of
every
them, yeah.
time.
Not every
55.
time.
55.
Okay, 50-50.
8 out of 10 times. It's 55. 60% of the time. Every time. Okay. He threw for 55.
What?
I promise I'm fine. He threw 55 times for 301 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw an interception. The biggest benefactor of all this, though, is Alvin Kamara.
Yes. Who put up a lot of points for you in the family league, and you were feeling pretty cocky going into Sunday before your mom gave you the beatdown.
I know. I really got the beatdown. Like I said, my dad beat you. My mom beat me.
My parents are facing each other.
Yeah.
It'll come down to tonight. I would say throwing the ball 55 times that his AC sprain must be better.
I would assume so.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have him throw it that many times, I think. So that's something to keep in mind. Do you want to talk a little studs and duds?
Yeah. I will cover the studs.
You cover the studs. I'll get the duds. Just kind of like you're the stud of the show. I'm the dud. And Dylan, we'll get to your question right after studs and duds.
Yes, we will, because we got to get to the questions.
All right.
All right. Some stud quarterbacks for you. Gardner Minshew projected. Who would think that? Gardner Minshew. Anyway.
Minshew mania.
Projected 11.7, finished with 31.1 points. Lamar Jackson. I mean, if you had him, you likely started him anyway, but he was only projected 19.4 only. And he finished with 33.88 at running back. Some of our studs were Deonta Foreman, projected 9.9, finished with 31.5.
And the Bears
that
beat
was
down.
an exciting. It was
Raiders.
Exciting. It's what, 3? I'm going to.
3 touchdowns, yes. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown.
3 touchdowns, like right away in the game. Gus Edwards, this was exciting. I had to start Gus. 8.3, finished with 20.9. A wide receiver, Josh Downs was projected 7.5. He finished with 24. AJ Brown projected 15.7, finished with 24.7. And for tight ends, Travis Kelce is always a stud in my book. He's just always a stud. He was projected 14.8, but he finished with 29.9. That really helped me in multiple leagues this week. It's been a year in the last week.
It's been a year in the last week.
And Taysom Hill, seeing Taysom Hill pop up again. He was projected 6.9 and finished with 14.8.
You know, as somebody who rosters Travis Kelce in a league, you have him in multiple leagues. I think we should all go out and buy a T Swift album or something, because obviously he's performing better when she shows up to the games. That's who gets all the credit. For the duds, Brian Hoyer, the Raiders veteran, couldn't hold up against the ferocious Bears defense. I'm kind of exaggerating that because I know Josiah is a Raiders fan, but he was projected only 14.3. Couldn't even muster that. He got 1.16. And Tua Tagovailoa, that's mainly who let me down in the game against your dad. Projected 20.8, finished with 10.34. Running backs, Josh Jacobs going back to the Raider well. Projected 16, finished with 4.6. Austin Eckler, that ankle is not right, I don't think. That or they're just not utilizing him correctly. Projected 16.1, finished with 5.1. Amari Cooper, wide receivers, I talked about how the Browns are a mess. Projected 10.6, finished with 3.2. Calvin Ridley, this one hurt me too in the matchup against your father. Calvin Ridley projected 11.5. He got one. Yay. Tight ends, Cole Kmet. I won't just keep dissing the Raiders. I'll diss one of the Bears too. Cole Kmet projected 7.6, put up a goose egg. And then Tyler Higbee projected 5.8, finished with 1.2. The tight ends actually did pretty good at hitting their projections, most of the tight ends. So I kind of had to dig for these guys. It was National Tight Ends Day on Friday or Thursday.
I missed it.
Yeah, you did. It was National Tight Ends Week.
That's my day.
Yeah, it was National Tight Ends Week, and the tight ends played well. So.
Except for Cole Kmet. I mean, with such a good game that we had, for him to get nothing, was
agreed.
Painful.
Let's answer a question real quick here. Dylan Fink says, "What's up, y'all? What's up, Dylan? Need a miracle. Down exactly 2.92 in full PPR. His opponent has Madison and the Niners D. He's got Ayuk. What are the odds I can pull off the upset?" I like the chances.
I do too, actually.
Madison has not
he
been
has
that
not
great.
been productive.
Yeah. Ayuk with no Debo in the offense, he's going to get the majority of the targets, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you got a chance. I mean, nothing's over till it's over, but you definitely got a chance. Also, who are some buy low players? That's a tough one. I would have to dig into that a little bit more. I was trying to look at some target percentages here real quick. A guy that he really hasn't done much fantasy football wise, Devonta Smith. He's been targeted 28% of the time though, on average. So I would start looking at the average target share or just overall target share in the offense and find those guys that are getting a lot of targets, but don't necessarily have a lot of points. Cause eventually
it's going to pay. It should pay off. And if they're getting a lot of the target share, they're going to continue.
Yes. Yeah.
Generally what we see is they continue to get that target share.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on. Let me double check. That's still his target share. I forgot to change the game amounts here. Technology. Don't know where he went now. But anyways, I would look at target shares.
Let me get this for you. Come on.
Okay, he's down to 16. I still like that target share for somebody of his talent. Marquise Brown. I know nobody wants the Cardinals, but he's getting targeted a lot. Jacoby Myers just came off of a bad game, except that garbage time touchdown. Maybe somebody will give him up. Definitely just kind of look at those target shares and see who's available. All right. Sorry, just making my way through here. Would you trade Mike Evans for Devontae Adams? Rendon asks. I would rather have Mike Evans.
Oh crap, I changed some stuff here in the formulas.
You changed the formula.
I don't know, kind of with how Devontae Adams has been looking.
Now Devontae Adams, more target share. I do realize that, but Jimmy G's hurt. We don't know when he's going to be back.
No, and he's not looking good.
Adams just was basically shut down by the Bears, which shouldn't happen. Aside from that first drive, Adams should have had a much better day.
With our defense, I know we had a good game, but our defenses,
it's picking up.
It looked good.
Yeah.
But I think it was because the Raiders just made us look good.
Yeah, that's actually probably more accurate. Mike Evans, 15% of the target share. He's got 468 yards. Big red zone target, though, 4 touchdowns, which is more than Adams. Adams has more catches, more yards. I like keeping Mike Evans myself. Josiah says definitely take Devontae, but obviously that's from a Raiders fan.
Bias.
So.
There's too much bias there. You have to learn to separate your bias out of fantasy.
I would say I agree with that, but I still have yet to learn that. Before we keep going, Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical ads and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets' revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets.
Now, back to old-fashioned football.
How disappointed are you that we don't have a Manscaped ad read anymore?
It happened though.
It did happen.
It's not the Manscaped ad that I want.
I know. You want the ball shaver, not the beard shaver? Just saying.
I'd just like to give my aunt a present.
One more question before we get to waivers. Jackson, Gibbs, Pollard, Diggs, CD, Puka, Palmer, and Goddard. Bench at Chan, Kyron, Ferguson, Purdy, and Chuba. Thoughts on potential trades for Andrews, or should I sit tight till my running backs get off injured reserve? Gosh, I like Dylan jumps right in here. We love that. Dylan says Goddard and Palmer, Joshua Palmer for Andrews. If you can get somebody to swing that deal, I would do it all day for sure. Joshua Palmer, while he's looked good while Mike Williams is out, Keenan Allen is the top guy in that offense, followed by Austin Eckler, and then it's Palmer and Quentin Johnston both kind of getting things. So let's just switch it this way. Would you trade Joshua Palmer and Dallas Goedert to get Mark Andrews? I agree. And thanks for this. We keep saying this, but if you're in the chat, feel free to answer other people's questions.
We love the conversation. Get it going.
We do.
Yes.
Josiah says he got shut down, but still scored 12.7 points. That's low for Devontae Adams against what's supposed to be a very bad Bears team. Agreed? What you looking at over there?
I'm looking at tight end stats.
just looking at my tight ends.
Just looking at them.
Let's talk about some waivers. Yeah,
let's do.
You want to kick it off with quarterbacks?
I will. I know it was surprising that I listed him in the studs, but I'm throwing him out there for a waiver. Gardner Minshew. He is only rostered in 3.6% of leagues. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts the rest of the year, and he looked much better this week against Cleveland, who has a very good defense. He had 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 29 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. I felt like he was definitely playing to impress, playing to win, playing for his next job. If your team is hurting at quarterback and you really need it, I would 10-15% of your fab. I definitely think he would be potentially a really good pickup.
Do you think I should pick him up and grow like shave to have this?
Well, if you're rostering him, you have to.
Okay. So if I get him on any waivers, I'm going to have this going on though. The Fu Manchu, is that what that's called? You will see me with the Fu Manchu next week if I end up picking up Gardner Minshew. I'm going to go with Tyrod Taylor.
Is that a promise?
Yeah. Sure.
Are you
the one that's always like, you're not shaving your beard. So did you say fab? I'm sorry. I was pulling up a picture of Minshew to make sure he still had the Fu Man. Did you say fab?
Yeah, 10 to 15%. I do know.
You were looking at me.
There's a lag. Okay. There's a lag going on with me tonight.
Working on the MS-DOS processor or something. Like, yep. Yeah, I did.
You're such a jerk.
You're like the sloth from whatever that movie is. He works at the
yes, and at the DMV.
Yeah, and that.
What is that show? Okay,
I have no idea. Anyways, Tyrod Taylor rostered in 2.1%. Dan Jones is currently out with a neck injury, and I think he's going to miss a couple more games. That's a tough injury, especially if you think about taking hits. He's already had surgery on that neck too, so they really need to protect him. And Tyrod Taylor's actually looked better running this Giants offense. They did decent against the Bills. It came down to a very questionable call. I think they should have won that game. And then this week they beat the Commanders. He had 21.66 points. It's not groundbreaking. I know that, but there's a lot of buys. I forgot to look up who's on buys. We better cover that too.
Oh,
I'll look that up while you look up or while you talk about your next running back. But you know, I wouldn't do a lot of fab because it's still the Giants. They are better when Saquon's on the field. 5%, maybe 10 if you're really desperate. But keep an eye on that Dan Jones injury too. Daniel Jones. He doesn't deserve.
I was
Dan
just going to
Jones.
say, you keep saying Dan Jones, and it's only Dan Jones when he deserves it.
That's right. He does not deserve it. And Josiah coming through. It's Zootopia. That's right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Zootopia.
Thank you, Josiah. Yeah. Dan Jones, or not Dan Jones, Tyrod Taylor, Ty God, as I like to call him. You had Gardner Minshew mania. We're only doing quarterbacks with fun nicknames. Who's your running back?
Deonta Foreman. If you didn't already pick him up prior to this weekend, I don't see him sitting out there. We usually see that anyway when a player has such a great game, he's snagged. But he's rostered in 48.7% of leagues, which is under the 50 that we bring you. The Bears running game is really starting to get moving. Last week against Minnesota, Foreman had 65 rushing yards. This week against the Raiders.
You gotta say it right.
I was gonna, and I was like, nope, the Raiders. And I think of Toby and how we got her to say it.
She goes.
So Josiah, next time you see Toby, you gotta have her
say the
Raiders. Anyway, against the Raiders, he had 89 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 31 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. He's here.
Yeah. And he's going to be the starting running back until injuries get.
I was just going to say, Khalil Herbert still on injury reserve. Roshan Johnson. Let me correct myself. He is still on concussion protocol.
There's something there. This is his 4th week, I think, on concussion protocol. So either they're holding him out on purpose or there's something seriously wrong.
There could be something serious,
which sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, you never want to see a player go through that, especially when you hear about all the CTE and the old players right now. And not good when a rookie is missing multiple weeks due to a concussion.
Yes. And so Foreman, he's going to keep being the guy for a while on a Bears team that is going to run the ball a lot. I would go 20%, possibly more, depending on your need at running back to pick him up. If he isn't available in your league, I would also look at Darrington Evans, who rushed for 48 yards as well.
Yeah, he looked good. Somebody we brought in, the Bears, not we, but I'm the Bears. We are the Bears. Somebody they brought in, and he's looked good. He was there last year, some too, I think. But does it hurt to say Deonta Foreman's name any? Given that in the family league he was available until I think Saturday. When your mom picked him up, he put up 30-some points against you, and it's one of the reasons that she beat you.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right. Well, I'll talk about my running back, Amari DeMercado, who I've already talked about 2 weeks ago. I said this would be the guy, and then I ended up with egg on my face because he only got 3 carries. Like, what? He's only rostered in 14.7%. I would still be cautious on this because it's the Cardinals. However, he gets 3 carries, makes me look like the ass for saying to everybody, hey, go pick him up. And then suddenly, before the game, he's named the starter. Keonta Ingram is a healthy scratch. And Damian Williams barely gets any carries. I don't understand it. But Amari did do well. He had 13 carries for 58 yards. That's like 4.5-ish yards a carry. He had 4 catches, 17 yards. It's going to be a hard one to trust, but I still think he's going to be that scat back no matter what until James Conner is back. Did you just snicker at scat? Yeah, I knew it. I saw the corner of your mouth kind of, I would only do 5% fab. I wouldn't go crazy on it, but the dog is licking my leg like crazy. Please stop that.
All
Wide
right.
receivers.
Wide
Oh,
receiver.
by the way, I don't know how this got past us, but there are no week 8 buys. Apparently, nobody wanted a day off.
Well, perfect, because this last week, almost in every league, I had more than 2 people out on a bye. One league, I had 6 of my
The whole bench
Yeah.
just out.
I compensated for it though. We're fine.
Just compensating, folks.
Josh Downs is my wide receiver.
All right.
He is rostered in 34.
334.
34. I was going to say 33, 34.
334% of leagues rostered.
34.5% of leagues. He's becoming a big part of the Colts offense, having double-digit fantasy points in the last 3 games. And he's still only rostered in 34% of leagues.
Yeah.
3 games now. He's also getting a really good chunk of the target share, having at least 6 targets in 5 of 7 games. This week, he showed his big playability, catching 5 of 6 targets for 125 yards and a touchdown. He also scored a touchdown last week. He should be added on rosters in all leagues, as Gardner Minshew has shown he wants to get him the ball. And Minshew is going to be
The guy.
the guy. So I think that's something like if he's getting it to Josh Downs.
Yeah.
You need Josh Downs.
Agreed. Taking notes here. Don't mind me. Don't look at my waiver
You
pickets.
are. What are you doing?
I'm going to go with Kendrick Bourne, rostered in 24
Why did you
point-
write Josh Downs down?
I'm going to go with Kendrick Bourne, rostered in 24.1% of leagues. This is a guy we've talked about before, right? He looked really good week 1, had 21.4 points, and then looked like shit, basically. And we suggested him last week, and nobody listened to us because he's still rostered in 24% of leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you 24% are our listeners, then I take it back. But last week he goes 10 for 11 for 89 yards. We say pick him up. He's going to continue to do well if they run the offense this way. So he turns around, and yesterday against the Bills, which the Patriots upset them. That was crazy. Didn't expect that. He caught 6 catches on 7 targets for 63 yards and a touchdown. Now, the Patriots have gone back to how they were running their offense week 1, where they're utilizing short passes, screens, things like that. If you have a quarterback like Mac Jones and you want to be successful, I think that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to benefit Kendrick Bourne. He excels at this type of stuff. So if they continue to do that, keep getting him involved, he's going to continue to have these really good games. 10%, 15, it depends. It always depends on your desperation, really. But 10% fab, I mean, if you've only got $5 left, I wouldn't spend all 5 of it. I'd do $1. It's all relative at this point.
I think I forgot fab on Downs.
Okay.
I don't know if I said fab. I would do up to 20.
Up to 20. I like that, especially if it's some sort of contract league like we're in, because he's a rookie and he's going to keep being relevant. I want to talk about your tight ends.
Yes.
Okay, I knew it.
I'm going to talk about Taysom Hill.
You love you some Taysom Hill.
I do. I really like Taysom Hill. I do. You know how I love him. Anyway, he's only rostered in 5.6% of leagues. This guy, like we talked about him. I talked about him at the beginning of the year as a potential $1 steal, and he just hasn't lived up to it. I think because, the Saints have so many options.
You have a lot of weapons, yeah.
But I feel like things are changing though. And he's being targeted a lot in the last several games. He had 8 targets, catching 7 for 49 yards last week. He also had an opportunity to run and pass the ball. And so this week he caught 4 of 5 targets for 50 yards. He ran 18 yards and he had a rushing touchdown. That is the Taysom Hill I like to see.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree.
Like the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill.
Right. And they haven't utilized him like that until just recently. They're like, oh yeah, hey, this guy. I remember him.
Yes. So I think they're going to continue to get him involved, especially if Juwan Johnson remains sidelined with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go crazy on your fab here because I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to continue to get him involved, but I don't know how consistent. I always feel like I get excited about Taysom Hill. He has a lot of big play potential.
Yeah.
Especially when they utilize him all over the field in every position.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of different ways to get you points as well with running, passing, catching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So But I wouldn't go all out because I don't think that it's going to be a like steady,
Yeah.
consistent start.
Boom
But
and bust type of
yeah,
deal.
it's going to be really boom and bust and circumstantial.
Yeah.
So I would maybe go 5% of fab. But I think if you can pick him up, I would do it.
Yeah.
I like him.
No,
I
agree.
wish they utilized him more like they utilized him this week.
Yeah. No, I agree. That Thursday night game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, towards the end of it, it's like Carr and Hill were dialed in, and you would like to see more of that for sure. He's hard to cover too. So they should be wanting to get him involved.
I feel like he's like that sneaky playmaker.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to go with Dalton Kincaid. Not as sneaky, but rostered in 31.3%. This is the guy that we just talked about, Dawson Knox, wrist surgery. So now this is Dalton Kincaid is going to be the dude. He's going to be the tight end for the Buffalo Bills, which is some days a high-powered offense. Some days they look surprisingly bad. But I think, like I said, I think Dawson Knox is going to miss the majority of the fantasy football season. And last week after Knox's injury, Kincaid, 8 passes on 8 targets, 75 yards. That's a hell of a stat line for a tight end, especially if you don't roster a tight end with the last name of Kelsey or Andrews, really. I mean, those are the guys that, I guess Laporta, even though he did have a little bit of a down game. Hawkinson, maybe.
He just had a game. I think he's still
right
up there.
Right. But not many of them are going 8 for 8 for 75 yards. So I like Kincaid's potential here. He's a rookie as well. So if you're in a keeper league, contract league, anything like that, 5 to 10% of fab, depending on how badly you need a tight end or how badly you need tight end help. But I think Kincaid is going to start to look a lot better. There were a lot of expectations for him going into the season. I know we both said, well, Dawson Knox is still a thing. I mean, he's still a guy there that's familiar with this. And now I think we're going to really see Kincaid start to take off.
I would agree with that.
All right. Let's do a couple questions before we get to the whiskey. How about that?
Yeah.
You good with that?
I am good with it.
Chandler says, should I trade away Amari Cooper, another Cooper question, and Jake Ferguson for Calvin Ridley and Dallas Goedert? I like Goedert over Ferguson, but I am losing patience with Calvin Ridley after his 1.5 point.
1.4.
What?
There's 1.4 points.
Well, in my league, he had 1 catch for 5 yards, which equated to 1.5, unless they stole a yard from him. You don't have to look it up. You can just trust me.
Because I played it. I don't trust you. I do trust you. I swear it was 1.4. And I think
I'm looking at it right now. It says 1.5. No, I have Calvin Ridley in the family league.
Nope.
And
then hold on.
It says it right here.
I trust you, but I swear.
Anyways, let's answer the question rather than bitch over a yard. It was 4 yards. It was 5.
Okay. Let's answer the question.
Yes.
Amari Cooper
and Jake Ferguson, Dallas Cowboys tight end.
For Ridley and Goedert.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Goddard is the better part of that trade. I don't like getting Ridley. I don't trust him right now. But I do like the upgrade at tight end. Do you agree?
It is definitely an upgrade there. I don't know. It kind of seems it does seem like a fair trade.
Yeah, it's pretty even across the board. I think who gets Amari Cooper probably gets a slightly better or more consistent wide receiver. Who gets Dallas Goedert gets a better tight end.
But if you're pretty good at wide receiver, then I would say yes. Go for it.
Agreed. George, welcome back. George says, would you sell high on James Cook? I have 2 schools of thought on this.
Okay.
I completely get selling high on James Cook because he's probably not going to necessarily get better than, he just had 19.2. It's his second best game of the year. That's followed by a 7.1 and a 5.1 game before that. However, I think if this Bills team wants to compete, they have to get the run game going because that passing game and Josh Allen have not looked as good. So, in my opinion, they have to get James Cook going. They have to get him more carries. People thought Latavius Murray was going to jump in there and start splitting the workload. That didn't last. So, in my opinion, I wouldn't get rid of him. Thoughts?
I don't know if I would either.
Still a good average of points per game there.
17.23.
Yeah. I think
And that's, I mean, that.
Yeah, I don't think
want that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do better than necessarily like every game than his 19.2 that he got this last week, but I wouldn't get rid of him.
It's just good, consistent points that you don't have to worry about.
Yep. All right. Jackson says, was offered to trade away CMC. So he's trading away Christian McCaffrey for Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, and Rashad White in a PPR league. Thoughts?
I just can't part with CMC, so I am not the person to ask.
I'm thinking here. Jahmyr Gibbs, while he looked good this week, keep in mind, as soon as David Montgomery is back, Gibbs takes a back seat to that. Rashad White has been kind of up and down. So is it worth giving up CMC to get Puka and two running backs that will probably combine for the score that CMC is going to average? To me, that's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling up Puka.
For me, oh man. Puka. I would say no. I'm keeping Christian McCaffrey if I have him. I realize it's a decent return on investment, but I can't do it. If I have Christian McCaffrey, he's the best running back in the league right now, fantasy football wise. So I'm not parting with him personally. You struggling over there? I
am, because my filter's cleared on me twice. Puka, Christian, who is it? Gibbs.
Yep.
You're like, I'm going to do this faster.
Oh, you changed it too quick. You forgot Rashad White.
Oh, yeah, Rashad. Sorry.
So Christian McCaffrey, that can't be right, can it? No.
What can't be right?
His average points per game was not right there. Christian McCaffrey averaging 19 points per game.
Whatever stat I just gave out last time wasn't right.
Yeah, hang on.
The 17. We have to go back and answer
Christian McCaffrey, 19 points per game. Puka, 13. Rashad White, 7. And Jahmyr Gibbs, 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you're giving up one player who's averaging 19 to get three players that average a combined 27. I don't think I do.
It doesn't. No, you have to. No.
Yep.
If you can get one person on your roster that gives you that many points on average, you don't get rid of it for less. You're not making that up.
Agreed. James Cook is averaging 9. Not
9.
17.
Holy crap. I didn't think that sounded right, but I was like, it's the data.
He's had 10.3, 19.9,
Yes.
13.2, 14.7, 5.1, 7.1, 19.2. So 2 less double digits. Sorry, just to recap real quick.
Mm-hmm.
My computer has detected high usage. That's not what I was recapping. We would keep CMC. Both of us agree we would keep CMC. Going back to James Cook, would you sell high? I still would keep him. I think the Bills are a good offense, and I think they're going to have to keep running the ball.
I agree with that. Our answer doesn't change, but we gave you an incorrect stat. I wanted it corrected.
Right. George also says, should I drop Bills defense for Jaguars or Jets? The Bills have not been the same after Matt Milano got hurt. They have not been able to take advantage of teams like normal. That Jets defense is damned good. Jets are going to single-handedly get themselves into the playoffs, I feel like, because of how good that defense is. Therefore, I don't hate dropping Bills for
to pick them up.
Yeah.
Snag them.
All right. Should we talk a little whiskey?
I'm ready to talk whiskey.
All right. I'm going to be talking some whiskey.
You're going to talk the whiskey.
You're going to be doing
I'm going to drink the
sniffing
whiskey.
and drinking.
Well, I don't need to sniff my old fashioned. You made me sniff my old fashioned.
I didn't make you sniff your old fashioned. I pushed this glass towards you. Anyways, we already said we're drinking Grace O'Malley Irish blended whiskey. Let's talk a little bit about the distillery and who Grace O'Malley is. Because if you're not familiar, Grace O'Malley, back in the 1500s, that was around when I was born, was an Irish chieftain and seafarer who became famous as a pirate and a rebel during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I of England, who was trying to increase
Increase.
her control of Irish lands. O'Malley's exploits made her a folk heroine, while official Irish histories tend to ignore her. Now, England was steadily gaining control of Ireland, and Grace came under increasing pressure to relent to the English crown. An expedition from Galway, we've been there.
Mhm.
We've been to the beaches of Galway. An expedition from Galway attacked Grace in her castle on Clare Island. So Grace turned to piracy. She said, basically, excuse my language, but fuck this. And she started blocking the port of Galway and attacking English ships in Galway Bay. Grace was born and raised at Belcaire Castle near Westport, and during her reign, she acquired several other castles through conquest and marriage, including Duna on Black Sod, Kildavnet on Achill Island, the O'Malley Castle on Clare Island, and Rockfleet in Clew Bay, where she eventually died. Now, switching gears to the distillery, now that you know who Grace O'Malley is, in 2016, Mayo businessmen Stephen Cope and brand builders Stefan Hansen and Fritz Hendrik Mel met in Dublin to get to know each other. And Stephen, is it Stephen, do you think? Or, yeah, Stephen. There's a Stephen and a Stefan. So I'm getting myself mixed up here. Mr. Cope is the owner of the brand Grace O'Malley. Growing up in the west of Ireland, he heard stories of the Pirate Queen, they called her, all through his childhood, and was just fascinated by the story of this great woman, not only as a buccaneer, as the English see it anyways, but also a navigator, a clan leader, a businesswoman, and above all, a survivor. The story sounded like it was written for their time, and they just wanted to pay homage to this. And all three of these guys, fathers of daughters. So the three felt like that they needed a role model like Grace O'Malley, this strong woman. So they were unanimous in deciding that the story of Grace O'Malley must be told to the world, preferably with a glass of Irish whiskey in hand. Now, they pitched this to John Teeling, who, if you don't know, that's the owner of the Great Northern Distillery in Ireland. And he was so excited that you've probably heard of Teeling's whiskey. He was so excited by the story that he offered the whiskey entrepreneurs a supply contract on the spot. Few years later, Grace O'Malley is one of the established names in Irish whiskey, one of the most awarded spirits of recent years, and finds friends in over 23 countries. The special thing about Grace O'Malley whiskey, while the portion of female consumers of Irish whiskey is usually around 45%, it's 53% for Grace O'Malley. So much like our podcast, which tends to reach more of the female than your normal sports podcast does, Grace O'Malley does that with whiskey, and everybody tells her story.
Every bottle tells.
What did I say?
Body.
Every body and bottle tells her story.
Every body.
The body being
Everybody.
the ones that have been struck down
okay.
by the Pirate Queen.
I was just gonna say, I know you're gonna get into
go ahead.
the mash bill here. I think if we do a listener pirate league, this needs to be the bottle of whiskey.
There you go.
That is
if
one.
we can get it in the States still. I think you can order it.
You can order.
Yeah, order it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Another listener pirate league, or a listener pirate league with a bottle of
It's not
Grace
another. We
O'Malley.
don't have a listener pirate
That's why
league.
I corrected myself.
I am failing in the pirate league. I am going to change the rules if I ever do. I strongly influenced the rules. And if you ask Cody, he said that I decided the rules, but they are not working in my favor in our pirate league.
No, they are not. So there's an Irish whiskey proverb, back to the whiskey and the pirates, that states 20% of the taste comes from the distillate, 80% from the barrel. So they get their distillates from the Great Northern Distillery, which we already talked about, which is an hour drive north of Dublin. And that's where John Teeling, who we just talked about, who's a whiskey legend in Ireland, and master distiller Brian Watts have been producing the highest quality spirits since 2015. Single malt, pot stills, grain whiskeys, as well as Irish gin, which we also have a Grace O'Malley gin. 80% from the barrel. Their new make first matures for 3 years in traditional oak barrels at the aging and blending facility, which is not far from the Great Northern Distillery. And the thing about Ireland, we've been there, doesn't get very cold, it doesn't get very hot, and that's considered to be kind of a perfect climate for the Irish whiskey. This is blended by master blender Paul Karras, who was originally a winemaker, And after completing Master of Science at Bordeaux University, he worked with several winemakers of Europe and Australia, but he was really known for his excellent palate and that just years of experience in the wine industry. He was hired by the world's leading spirits company, where he turned his focus to spirits and became the master blender of cognac. Now, Grace O'Malley whiskey has the Irish whiskey we're drinking today. It has the rum cask Irish whiskey.
That would be really good.
Yes, a dark char cask, which sounds interesting, and then an 18-year single malt whiskey. Just want to, real quick, before we get to what you tasted, we're drinking, like I said, the Irish whiskey. It's a unique blend of triple and double distilled single malt and grain whiskeys, and each batch is matured to perfection in specially selected French oak, rum, and American bourbon casks, which give the whiskey a unique character and push the boundaries of the flavor. It says that their single malt content results in a whiskey of true quality, the perfect balance of fruitiness, complexity, and smoothness. So tell me what you smelled. Tell me what you tasted.
I smelled cherry and vanilla. Cherry hit me hard.
Ooh, I feel like I smelled that before you said it, but I definitely, as soon as I sniffed, I got cherry.
I sometimes like struggle to pinpoint what I'm smelling, like to pick it out and really identify it. This is cherry.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't taste like cherry, but that smell is cherry vanilla cherry.
What do you get on the taste?
Fire. Like a good fire.
Fire. It's smooth.
It's smooth, but it has heat, and vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Very vanilla. Doesn't it have like a spice?
It's got a little spicy, yeah.
Like heat, and
yeah.
spice and heat combined, which is where I said fire.
I gotcha. I'm getting
not bad,
right?
But it's like whoo.
Now, would you
And
consider this
smooth.
an underdog fantasy spicy, or
it is spicy?
A little spicy.
Go
Underdog
5
fantasy,
for 5.
promo code SGPN. I would rate this a 5 for 5. This it's smooth, but you're right. It does have a nice rye spice.
Yeah,
kick.
It's not harsh.
No,
it is very smooth, but it punches you right away. It's a punch and then of just fire.
And something that sometimes we comment on it, other times we don't notice it as much, but the texture, it's a thicker.
It is thicker. And when I say fire, like, you know those Red Hots?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of is. Does that?
There's no cinnamon at all.
No, there's spice though. But you know how those get you, and then your tongue is like, okay, just never mind.
This is one of those things you're gonna look back and see the face I just made at you,
Justin.
I'm trying to think. There's something else I taste, and I can't pinpoint it. It's not vanilla. It's not. It's not the fire. I'm not sure what it is, but there is something else there. You picking it up, or?
I mean, well, there's.
I will say it's not comparable to Jameson. You're not going to grab this and be like, "Oh, it's an Irish whiskey, so it's like Jameson." It's not.
It definitely, you can tell it's Irish whiskey. It has that quality of Irish whiskey.
Like the single malt kind of stands out a little bit.
The wood.
You think so?
It's the
different woods that they use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 different casks that
all that wood that they crammed into this whiskey.
No wonder she likes it. Yeah, no.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like, I read that you have the fruitiness. I don't taste a lot of fruitiness.
It
just
smells
the vanilla.
fruity.
Yeah, it does.
The cherry smell. You don't.
Yeah.
Do you taste cherry?
No, not at all. But saying they have the perfect balance of fruitiness, complexity, I agree. There's a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of wood. There's a lot of wood going on.
Look at her big old smile from that. So it's matured in French oak, rum, and American bourbon. I think the extra thing I'm picking up is a little bit of a rum, like a sweet rum type of flavor. Are you kind of getting that?
Well, I think kind of, and that's I think where there's a lot of spice in it.
Yeah, right. and a little bit of sweetness that you would like if you had a sweeter rum. Yeah. It's interesting. And I wonder if some of that spiciness, do you think that's coming from the American bourbon casks, or you think that's
No,
for sure the rum?
What kind of? We
Just
don't
rum.
know.
No,
A
just
spiced rum. It's a very spicy rum.
Yeah. Why is it spicy? No, this is really good. I really like this. It's we got this as a gift from my parents. They ordered it from Ireland, I believe.
Yes, they did.
With the gin, which I'm not a big gin drinker, but I love the Grace O'Malley gin.
It is a good gin. It's very junipery.
Yes, and it's weird because normally I don't like the juniperiness of gin, but this one, theirs I do. I know people.
It's like,
I know only maniacs drink gin on ice, but I would drink it on ice.
I was like, drink gin.
No, on ice. I would drink Grace O'Malley gin on ice because I like it that much.
It's a very like authentic.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's really good.
It's from Ireland. They do things authentic there.
But no, it's good.
Yeah, very good. If you get a chance, order yourself a bottle of Grace O'Malley. The Irish Pirate Queen says, believe in grace. Blended Irish whiskey. I'm a big fan of this. She was, again, born 1530. And the distillery was established officially in 2017. If you have any questions about it, reach out to us at Old Fashioned FB.
Especially now that you shook up our bottle.
The X shakes bottle aggressively.
No, quit shaking the bourbon.
You know,
or the whiskey.
You're supposed to move it around and wet that cork every now and then, or your corks dry out.
But you don't have to. I don't know.
I don't think shaking it's going to bother it.
It bothers me.
This came over on a plane. You don't think it got shook up a little bit on that plane?
Not like that.
Let's answer a couple questions before we get on out of here. Victor Sosa says, I'm down 4 against Hawkinson. Who do I start, CMC or Osborne? This is tough because I don't know how healthy CMC is. What if he's on a limited workload?
What if he's not? And what if he does?
Yeah, you're right.
You start CMC.
She's right. It doesn't matter. Limited workload or not, you start CMC. I agree.
You don't bench him.
No.
You take the risk.
Yes. Kathy says, love Grace O'Malley. It's because it's Irish. They love all things
It's
Ireland.
also very good.
It is very good. What's the word again? There's hernophobia, right? No.
Hernophile. She'll tell us.
There's a word for people that like are
obsessed with
Irish, all things Irish
stuff.
That would be my parents. And it ends in ophile. And normally words that end in ophile are not good things. I always say she's a pedophile, but like for Irish things, basically, not for children.
You can't say that.
No?
Just stop. No.
Just stop.
Just stop.
Her hibernophile.
What?
Yeah.
Irish.
It's on the screen if you're at youtube.com/
Obsessed with Irish.
Old Fashioned Football. Hibernophile. Motion Man. He's in motion. Says, would you trade Josh Jacobs for Eckler or Bijan in a PPR? I would trade Josh Jacobs for Austin Eckler. I know that they haven't looked great. And I know he's dealing with that ankle thing, but in a PPR league, he is so good. I can't fault you for trading Jacobs for Bijan either. That Raiders offense is not good. Sorry, Josiah, but that Raiders offense is not good. And Bijan's a stud, much better than I thought he was going to be, unless he's hung over like what I surmised was his issue last week. And I would get rid of Jacobs, honestly. He just hasn't looked that great. He hasn't had a high average yard per carry, nothing. PPR league, Eckler's your dude. Bijan,
I feel like you've been very biased against him all season.
Bijan?
Jacobs.
He's had a terrible average yards per carry.
I know, but it's still Josh Jacobs, and I just feel like it has to turn around.
This game has started, woman. Now she's making faces at me. You can think he's got to turn it around, but I don't know if that offensive line is all that great.
No,
he's still 11th ranked because he had a 27.9 game against the Chargers. But
what week was that?
4. Yes. His scores almost do this weird thing where it literally does this. He went up to peak to that, and now he's going down.
He's going down. But he's got to do better.
He plays the Lions, which have a good rush defense. Got to do better than what? Sorry.
Than what he's just did.
Yeah. Plays against the Lions, good run defense. Plays against the Giants, who are getting feisty. Plays against the Jets, who are a really good defense.
He is not consistently going to get 5 points. He's going to be back up in the double digits.
I think 11 is probably what he's going to continue to average.
You are down on him way more than I am.
All right. You would not trade him for Eckler or Rajon?
I think I would consider, but I don't think he's as bad as you're making him out to be. He's still 11th ranked, and for good reason, and it's not just that 29-point game.
All right. Well, we just
he's not a player who's up in rankings because he got over 30 points. He didn't do that. He's been in the double digits consistently.
Thank you, Motion Man, for starting to fight. I'm going to hear about this the rest of the night. I'm just kidding.
No, because I'm a little sick of your down on Josh Jacobs talk.
He's not.
Because listeners don't know this, but we have this discussion, I feel like, weekly in our own household about Josh Jacobs.
Really?
It feels like it. You always make I don't always get into it with you, but I'm drawing the line now.
Oh.
He did really bad this week.
Mm-hmm.
But look at that game as a whole. The whole game was shit for them.
Yeah,
sorry about
our dog's over there growling. His season average per carry is 2.9 yards per carry. I realize he's had some good games, but I don't want to back a running back who's only averaging 2.9 yards per carry. That's why I have been shitting on him. And you've heard me quote his yards per carry average when our buddy Nick Fortune traded Jonathan Taylor away for Josh Jacobs. I said, you just traded a guy who could be a now Josh Jacobs has not looked great because Zach Moss is so good, but you just traded him away for a guy that's averaging 2.9 yards per carry.
I don't support that trade. I think that no.
So you value Jonathan Taylor over Austin Eckler and Bijan Robinson then? Because you don't support that trade.
I didn't say I didn't support the trade. I said I am not as down on him as you are. And he is still the 11th ranked running back. And if you have had him and you have started him, aside from this last week, it's not a mistake to have started him.
I'm not saying it's a mistake. I'm saying I'd rather have Eckler or
average
Bijan.
of 2.9 yards per carry, but how many carries is he getting?
118. He's got 347 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He has caught some passes. I think that's probably where he has excelled a little bit better. So far, he has 26 receptions for 215 yards, no receiving touchdowns. He's got 2 touchdowns on the entire year. The one game that he peaked so well was because he had caught so many passes, I believe. I can go back to that.
Who do they play coming up? Did you already say this?
I did. The Lions, who have a good run defense. I think they're third. The Giants, who have started looking a lot better. The Jets, who are a really good defense. Then they do have the Dolphins. I think they can run the ball on the Dolphins. But then they have KC, who has a good defense.
Okay, so he does have his strength of schedule is going against him for future games.
He had 8 receptions in that 27.9 game. That's his highest. He had 8 receptions in that game. He's got 2 others with 5. Otherwise, it's 1 or 2. So unless he's catching the ball, he's not. Sorry.
Okay. I just feel like this is
Go
not.
on.
Anyway, I didn't say I didn't support the trade. I like all of these players in there.
Would you trade Josh Jacobs for Eckler or Bijan?
I would probably do that. Yes.
Yes. There's the answer. All that arguing just to agree with me.
No. I don't agree with you about Josh Jacobs.
I knew that was going to get me in trouble. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
We have to stop.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right. My old fashioned is gone. How about yours?
Mine's not.
All right. Well, it's going to be gone after this argument, isn't it? you turned out the lights on us and everything.
Sorry, I didn't mean to turn off the light.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Old-fashioned football.